tea-ta-toe, tea-ta-toe, come, hey. So recently I did a video, it was a very short one, not many views, but it's fine. And it was about, we were stuck behind a white van at a green light. And the van driver, probably on his phone, as people in the comments said, was distracted and didn't see the light change. And then because the conduction loops in the floor haven't picked up any movement, the traffic light essentially thinks that no one is there. So we end up spending a bit of time behind this this van driver here. And in the comments, a lot of people were asked how you would deal with this. You know, would you use the horn? And I don't disagree with what anyone said in the comments. Actually, a lot of people said a simple beep beep on the horn. It can sound quite non-aggressive, if you like. And as someone said, they've been driving, I think, upwards of 30, 40 years, and they've always done this, and it's always had the desired effect of waking that person up and going, oh, yeah, sorry. And I completely agree with that. I think, yes, people were pointing out rule 112, which, of course, is you must not use your horn while stationary unless a road user poses a danger. And I think some people, you know, were saying, well, I would argue that this person poses a danger. So I think people would, in most circumstances, be quite justified in a quick peep peep on the horn to resolve the situation. I absolutely cannot imagine, and anyone feel free to correct me here, I cannot imagine a police officer seeing that and then doing you for using the horn because you were stationary. I might be wrong, but I just can't see that being the case. But what I want you to do is just listen to the conversation that me and my learner Seth have. He's given permission for this to be on. And it's actually really interesting because what we do with learners these days, we just don't want to really tell them that much. We want them to come to their own conclusions based on how they feel about things. And I'll put any subtitles on for bits that are a bit hard to hear because obviously we're not wearing microphones. Oh, has he seen? Oh, he seems to be distracted. Little devil. Oh, and he's missed the light. Yeah. Would you beat the horn at him in that situation?
No.
Tell me more.
He might get stressed.
Cool.
And he
Cool.
might just send it.
Yeah, cool. That's a good one. Yeah. The light might go back to red and he just sends it. Absolutely.
If that were to happen, and I beeped at him, and then he crashed.
Yeah.
Would I be liable, or would he?
I don't think you would. I'm a bit wishy-washy on liability in terms of it would be his fault because he's gone through the red light. If he obviously says, oh, I got beeped, you've done your horn when it's actually illegal to. It's illegal to use your horn while you're stationary.
Right.
The problem is now, see the light's gone back to red. So the light now hasn't detected any movement on the conduction loops.
Right.
And so it thinks no one's in the right-hand lane. Because he missed that light. So can I get you to move further forward for me? And hopefully that's enough for the conduction loops to pick us up.
Very interesting. I always thought the traffic lights were on a time.
Yeah, well they used to be, and then they started doing these are much better admittedly, but this is the problem sometimes they cause. He missed his green light and now he thinks no one's waiting. If you can see in the floor, can you see the arrow behind us? Can you see just behind that there's like tar lines? That's a conduction loop. If someone drives over that, it will detect us and we'll be okay. Unless we drove over a conduction loop there. We did. Happy with that. Great. So the first thing is Seth knows that it is illegal to use his horn while stationary. He doesn't feel comfortable doing it. And he says, actually, it could stress the person out and then they go through a light as it changes back to red. So he was worried that he could then be potentially liable for, you know, causing that situation. I like the way he's thinking about that. You know, he's thinking about actually, would I want to be beeped necessarily? So that's a really interesting point that Seth brought up, I thought. Now, what we then explained to Seth is that there are, of course, conduction loops, induction or conduction, I never know, but I call them conduction loops, and they detect movement. So as you drive over them, they look like this. It detects movement, and then because we've been sat stationary behind the van when the light cycled, the light doesn't pick up any movement, so we're now stuck behind the van. And we talked to Seth, and I explained that the solution for us was to probably move forward and hope that we have driven over a conduction loop, and luckily we had, and that does solve the situation. I like to notice these conduction loops as I'm coming into traffic lights so that I know I've driven over one or I'm sat on one, and this can resolve this situation without any conflict, as we do in this video. If you notice behind us, there's absolutely no one comes in behind us. So again, to argue, for the sake of arguing, for me, the road user's not posing a danger because we're perfectly patient. We're quite happy to wait. It doesn't really bother me. So we actually just solved the situation by moving forward slightly. So it's another reason for rule 151 in slow moving traffic. You should leave enough space to be able to maneuver if the vehicle in front breaks down or an emergency vehicle needs to get past. Now, they're the main reasons that we do that. But as you can see, Seth naturally has left that gap between himself and the van, so he has the room to maneuver and drive over the next conduction loop. If you have, like most people I see on the roads, packed yourself in bumper to bumper, there's no wiggle room for that, and then you could actually be stuck there for a lot longer. So yeah, just an interesting one. Obviously, like I said, I'm not saying anyone was wrong in the comments. That's just how we dealt with the situation. That's how Seth felt comfortable dealing with the situation. We want learners to feel comfortable. If he's not happy to beep his horn at someone, then he won't. And I think we dealt with the situation quite well. But let me know what you think. Obviously, I'm happy for people to say, "Oh, you had to wait so long because of the fact that you didn't use your horn," and then that's fair enough. But I think everything was done quite nicely there. I always think it's about a bit of manners on the road sometimes. I don't think it's rude to beep your horn at someone that's doing something like that, but it's not for everyone. Not everyone's going to feel comfortable doing that.